And whatever they think about you, that really don't matter in your life. You don't even come across these kind of people and all this type of stuff. So they're talking about major things, but let me tell you something. When the government get right and say, you got to choose sides, you best believe they're going to be in their corner. The Bible tells you there's a point where they say, go to your people. Have you ever, that is in the Bible. And there's going to be a point. Honorable Elijah Muhammad says there's going to be a time when they say, go to your people. So we already know that when it comes to make the choice, some of them going to be down with us now. There's going to be a few of them going to be down with us. Because they know that they don't want to get slayed. And they know people are righteousness. And they know something about us that we don't know, that we gods. But there's going to be some that is going to go with the actual government, like they've been going to. And some of our people are going to go with the government also, too. Case in point, to let you know that you God, you go right down to the George Washington. If I'm lying, then you don't blame me, blame the white people. You go right down to Alexandria, Virginia. In the George Washington Masonic Memorial. Go through, it's a free tour. You don't have to pay nothing. Take the tour and they go through all the stuff that the Masons put in this building, this big shrine. And you go to all the floors and you learn about the grotto rite, the Scottish rite, the York rite. And when you get to the top floor, if you're not a group of people, if you're a group of black people, they usually say that store is under construction or they don't open that up. But if you one or two black people, you sneak in with a whole group of white people, they'll take you in the top floor. And in the top floor, they got a bunch of white people reaching up to heaven, and they got this big black hand coming down to get them. Now, call me a liar and call me crazy, but the white man knows something. Why in the top of his, George Washington is the father of his country, and in his shrine, at the top, where they tell you the pinnacle of all this, they telling you who God. Why is it they're going to put a big black hand coming from heaven? If I'm lying, I'm flying. I saw it with my own eyes. Check? So we going to get in, we going to know who God is. Well, anyway, this third planet, Hemmitt, is supposedly where the Dogon say where our people are on. Supposedly. Now, to go into some things, let's go into some esoteric science of actual Christianity. Christianity, everybody all right? Okay, the ancient Egyptians more or less equated their chief goddess Isis with Sirius, which they call Sept. Another Egyptian name for the star Seb is identified with El Sadar. In many Hebrew names for the ancient deity translated simply meaning God. El Sadar is later translated to Jehovah or Jah. You get that? We're talking about the same origin. Now, let's go into some stuff. Your Bible is based on, and you can go to C. Freeman L., he teaches the stuff, or get the Metaphysical Dictionary. Your Bible is based on stuff that came from the Kabbalists, which was the people that knew the breakdown of the tree of life, that they got out of Egypt. The breakdown of the tree of life, which means your universe and the breakdown of your body and the cells in your body. Decoded right in the Bible. That's what your Bible is about. If you break the signs down, it's related to some parts of history. They call it labial history, which means some of the things didn't really go on. Some of it is prophetic history, and it's related also to your body. Well, in there you have the tree of life, which is the holy Kabbalah. And in the tree of life is the breakdown of your body and the breakdown of the heaven. Well, let's go ahead and try to get a picture of where we stand on the tree of life. This is the tree of life. And in the tree of life, what you have is, you have earth at the bottom. It's called Malkuth, which is the lowest. You have Venus right here. That's called Netzach, these words. Mercury right here, which is called chest. Yased, which means the moon, Luna. This is the Sephira of beauty, the sun, which is the sun, the formative world. Hod, which means Mercury. This is Jupiter. This is Mercury. Mars is right here, which is called Gebra. Now, these right here represent the earth and our particular, the immediate, what you call the Milky Way, the immediate Our immediate 12 zodiac. Huh? Nebulin, oh yeah, well, nebula is the real name for it. Nebula. It represents the part within our solar system governed by our sun. Here's the moon and here is Earth. You got that? Now, this is this part, which is our solar system. When you get into across this actual, they call this the crossing over, you get into the heaven worlds, which Saturn is represented as a actual gateway to another dimension. That's why it's got the rings around it. And then you get into the zodiacal world, which is the astronomical zodiacal world. And these three top sepras are what you call the archetypal world or the heaven world. In the heaven world, you have Bina, which means understanding, which means mother. You have Shakma, which means wisdom, which is father. And then you have Kether, which means light. Light, or the crown, which is also the crown chakra on your head, which is the Christ mind. Check? Which is the Christ mind. See, Jesus just was one of those figures. But that figure represented a whole race of people. Guess who that is? Already documented. We're going to get to that. But right in here is the archetypal world. And right up top, Kether is actually Sirius. Because it's the brightest light. And it is our sun's father. The sun behind the sun. You got that? So that would be the father and the son. You get that? Up top of this is something called Ansar, or Ansar, which means nothingness, which is the greater universe, the blackness. Because it's so black, it reflects its first primordial light, which is Kether. You get that? Which is Sirius. And because this is the archetypal world, all this is radiating under Sirius. All this is the archetypal world. So they're actually talking about that particular realm. Everybody clear on that? So all of this is actually Sirius. These are the polarities, or you would say the negative current and the positive current, which negative doesn't mean negative anything. It means the feminine principle, the negative is like the AC/DC, that current that draws in. The positive is what draws out. It doesn't have anything to do with negative and positive in the same aspect. You understand? So you would have the feminine principle, the mother, and then you would have the father. Same archetypal word, talking about Godhood. And it's actually talking about two principles in you. You have a feminine principle and a masculine principle. Man is not man not unless man is half woman. Woman is not woman not unless woman is half man. This is the duality that's coming together that represents one in us, the walking universe, the smaller microcosmic universe. But in the greater universe, the wisdom, which is the understanding, which is the mother, and the wisdom, which is the father, represents Sirius, which is all this, which is reflected from a greater part. And I should have brought something that actually had that realm where they talked about the blackness of space, which is the mother, the great womb of the universe, which is the mother of the crown like Kether. Now, I want to break that down. That is the Kabbalah, but it's also not only talking about the actual breakdowns in your body, and we can go into the breakdowns of your body, take a lot of time, but it's actually talking about the breakdowns of the universe that's going on. Now, I was up in a store. White woman told me that white woman came up, we started talking, they know all. She said, well, not only did this guy, George Hunt Williamson, wrote this book. He wrote a book called, I think it's called Road in the Sky. And he wrote another book that he received from the people from Sirius that gave him something called a transcript of the hierarchy. And in this transcript of the hierarchy, which I think it might be out of print, but in this transcript of the hierarchy, I was just fortunate enough to get a couple of pages of this thing, and I didn't bring the doggone thing with me. But in this transcript of the hierarchy, they talk about God being caught up within the Father, Jesus being caught up within the Father in the Bible, and the Father they're talking about is actually Jesus being caught up into Sirius. And that's called, and so they said that Sirius is actually the heaven region, the actual heaven region that our religions come from. Okay, y'all got all that, right? Now, I want to show you something. Now this is coming from the group called the Golden Dawn Society, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn Society that Aleister Crowley, the white boy, was a member of. Well, they took the actual Egyptian rituals and they initiated themselves under this actual stuff that they got out of Egypt. It even had Egyptologists on hand to tell them what's going on. And it says right here, the divine name Ahia, the divine name for Kether, immediately above Kether. And it says that the divine name for Kether immediately above, in the Egyptian sense, is Sirius, the dog star, i.e. Isis or Sothis. Around it, we're not talking about this, but around it, it says, we're not talking about these breakdowns of the zodiacs, around it is 7 planets. So this is a star. You know astronomy, this is a star. Then you have planets. Now, this is the key. Around it is 7 planets. You have the 3 stars, but there's planets, and what's on planets? People live on planets. You understand? Now, let me explain something. Not only is Sirius the father to our sun, but Sirius is the father for 11 other solar systems, which basically makes up solar systems, and you're not even adding planets and all this stuff, which in a way makes up a universe. They say there's parallel universes. This is universe A, then you go into universe B. And it makes up universe. Is this stuff boring to you? Are you getting anything out of this stuff? Okay, I just want to know, I just want to know, because believe me, it's going to get, I'm going to bring it back down to you. I'm not going to stay up in space, but I'm going to bring it back down to you. I just want you to know. Now, let's look up. Sirius is the father of 11 other solar systems. Now, this Sirius, Sirius, which means one star in sight, which means that the ancients could see it in the daytime, it was so bright. But not only is it one star in sight to us, but it is one star in sight to all terrestrial dwellers. All of them in this particular universe. Now this is very key. I want y'all to listen to what I'm saying because it's very key of what I'm trying to say. Now let me run this to you. One star in sight to all terrestrial dwellers. Sirius A and its dark twin Sirius B imbues a certain magical light. It is 11-fold star of the Great White Brotherhood. Remember that Great White Brotherhood. It ain't talking about white people. It is talking about white, meaning Christ's mind or the Christ or the crown chakra. It means those ascended masters that have gone and got this stuff together down here and gone to the other realm. You can rise to that point. They're saying it is the true father of our universe, which has a mother, the darkness of space. It is the true father of our universe, all them stars out now. Now, this is the key that you got to understand. Now, you got to listen. Because see, we have a bad inferiority complex about ourselves. Now, Honorable Elijah Muhammad says there's other life forms in the universe, but the black man was the most superior. And I said, now, wait a minute. Now, you done gone too doggone far here. You got a big old universe out here. And I would imagine there would be other life forms. We see them green people and all the different types of things they say that come out of space. Well, that's a fact. But to tell me a big old universe, you mean to tell me that we are the most superior? Seems to me now that's some actual therapy or some actual psychology to lift people up. And that's a master psychologist talking. But man, that sounds too damn good to be true. Well, let me tell you something. Let's see if that's right. You didn't understand what the people of the OTO say. You got to understand the codes of what they're talking about. I ain't going to flat out tell you what's going on. Number one, they said that Kether, around it, which is Kether, which is Sirius. Now, they're not talking about Saturn, Mercury, and all these places. They're saying it but they're talking, those are actual planets in our solar system. Canis Major, which is the dog star solar system, is 8 light years away, but it is our closest solar system. It said around it is 7 planets. Now wait a minute. This is the point I'm trying to make. Picture a whole universe where you have suns. Each sun has so many planets around it. You understand that? That's astronomy. You got a whole universe out there. Well, this particular universe that we are in, we'll call that Universe 8. And all of it has their suns, and they have planets around those suns, right? But their father's sun, all of those, is Sirius. You get it? Because it was the first in heaven, the first to come up out of the triple darkness of space. It is the first primordial star of all the planets and stars. But it is the father of our universe, but it has 7 planets around it. You check what I'm saying? So it means that if this one has 7 planets around it, these 7 planets will have something greater in common than the other planets, because these planets have these smaller suns. This particular planet, these particular planets that'll be around here, the people who would dwell on those planets would actually be God. You understand? And guess who those people are? Us. See, the key to this is, if you met the man, Dr. Delbert Blair, we don't have to just speculate. In 1957, Dr. Delbert Blair said he met 2 space beings. It was introduced to him by a UFO pioneer from the 1950s, but I told you had all the real stuff, named George Adamski. And he met 2 people, and where were those 2 people from? They were from Sirius. Check. They were from Sirius. Well, as we go on, we'll dwell in a little more of this, but listen. Let's deal with this. How many people in here Muslims? Well, let's check this thing out and see if we ain't talking about the same God. Look. The compassion and mercy, Allah, which esoterically is a combination of male, all, or el, and female, la, or lot. The H in ancient terms, or silent T in Arabic, forms a significant God, goddess, she, whose power is radiated, from the most brilliant star in heaven, Sirius or Sothis. The ancient and early Christian Roman times still use the authorized Virgin, the Virgin Mother, the latter-day Sothis Isis of the universe. So now, supposedly Allah, this current, also in the metaphysical dictionary, Allah means field of current. Means field of current. Well, let's go on and let's see. Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the black angel Gabriel was, he said, no, the angel Gabriel is supposedly gave the actual Quran to Muhammad, was a black angel, or some Orthodox Muslims say, oh man, that ain't gonna work. Well, let's see if it ain't gonna work. And if I bet, Mom, I bet all the stuff I didn't bring the Holy Quran, but I'll paraphrase for you. And let's see if this thing don't work. And you can quote me. All you got to do is look for the surah under the star. The surah under the star. If I'm lying, I'm flying. The surah under the star, and it quotes. It says, first it talks about Gabriel coming from heaven in these bowels. They say these bowels, but these bowels, and also it's translated the barking of a dog also, tracing it back. But in the actual surah of the Holy Quran, what does it say? It said, the most merciful and the most compassionate. It said, all things must return to God. He bestows and enriches. This God created both male and female from one single ejaculated semen. He will create all things anew. This is the God of Sirius. Now, That's in the surah, under the star. For you Muslims that think I'm bull-jiving, go and check the doggone thing out, because it's right there under the star. Another out-of-print book. This book, let me see if I find this thing right quick. Anyway, I don't need to read this stuff. Look, what it says is that actual Gabriel came from Sirius and actually gave the Quran to Muhammad. Well, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that Gabriel was nothing but a blue-black man, or they call them angels, but the angels are not no spook angels. They're living beings, and they're living beings, and they can, what we call spook, they can go in and out of dimensions, and they're living beings. So that is another further proof about the star. Now, let's go into Sirius the judgment, and then we're going to go into what y'all stick with me. Let's go into Sirius the judgment, and let's see what's going on here. Gerald Massey states in his book, Historical Jesus, Mythical Christ, page number 7. Page number 7, Historical Christ, Mythical Jesus. It comes out of Historical Jesus, Mythical Christ. This is an excerpt out of a bigger book called Natural Genesis. It says, the day of doom, which was the end of this time, talking about a 26,000 year time cycle, which is the end of this time. Here it is possible to identify this bridge with the starry image of Sirius. Now, what it said is there's going to be a people that's going to be crying out for help in a particular time cycle. And then what will happen is when this particular time cycle comes in, then these people will receive help. But how are they going to receive help? I'm trying to get to the point that I'm trying to make about a particular thing that's going to happen to you, even though we're going to have the spaceships getting busy to come back down and clean up this mess. But some things is getting ready to happen to you. Remember, in the Bible, it tells you in the last days, the dead will rise up from the grave. You're not talking about a physical body that decomposed. Who are the dead? The dead is you. The people who have lost all humanity by losing the knowledge of self. There's nobody on the earth that has done that. You understand? And my thing is we can't be chastised so much for a state that we don't know nothing about. That means if I go up and I'm being judged, let's say Osiris, the great judgment, and I'm being judged, he said, I'm judging you for this, what you did. I said, wait a minute, hold on. I'm exempt from that. Say, why? I say, well, number one, I stand before you an African in an African skin and an African body. So therefore, you got to judge me as being an African. But remember, I was in the Western Hemisphere brain dead. I didn't even know I was an African. So therefore, I'm a dead man. So how can a dead man be judged about something that he didn't know? You understand? So they're not talking about that type of judgment. But they did say in the last days, the people will rise up from the dead, right? Okay, let's see. Now, it also says that in the occults, you see the reason why the white boys got to kill you. And I just got the news. You remember the brother, Sister Afrikiti? I told you the brother, my roommate that just got the job at the federal pen, he got on the job Monday and they told him this. They said that, and would verify my statement that I've been saying. They said that not only did President George Bush close down those 6 military bases, they have closed down others since then. He closed down 6 in '89 and came on TV and said, we now have space for dope dealers. Yeah, right. You created a dope. No, it ain't about no dope dealers. He closed down he closed down the facilities. Then they closed down some more because Fort McPherson was one on the list, and Fort Benning and a couple other places. Remember that? Because of Sam Nunn being in Georgia and being up there, high up there, he saved the stuff because he buddy with Clinton and all that stuff. Now remember your boy Clinton is under the same policy as Bush. If I'm lying, didn't Clinton go back into Kuwait? Iraq? Didn't he go back into Somalia? Well, wait a minute, is this a different presidency? What is he doing the same policy as a Bush, the man that they supposed to got out? We know now that he don't run nothing, just like Bush didn't run nothing. That's evidence that the man don't run anything, right? Now, my boy came home Monday, Yeah, the first day was Monday. He said, you right. He said, you right about that King Alpha plan. He said, we got it in our briefing. He said that they got that. Then he said that all the doggone military installations, they have almost refurbished now, and they're getting ready to put black people in them. But they use the term, we're going to put prisoners in them. But it ain't about no doggone prisoners. They're going to put you in them. And if you think I'm lying, the Spirit always come to me. Let me tell you a little story. See, we got people in our own community. The old people used to call them born with a veil. Somehow we have gotten out of that, and now you use the word psychic, and you say that's some crazy stuff. Well, they got a sister. If we helped win the SGA president for fall 1991, spring 92, she won. We helped her win the SGA president. See, the sister, she did her year, and she's already, since then, she's graduated. This summer, back in June, had a friend named Dave Pitts in the Nation of Islam. He came in to visit me for like 2 weeks. And Dave used to go with her. They used to see each other. And so they're going on. She called Dave up. She said, Dave, you in town? I got to talk to you. They say, okay, cool. But, Dave, we sit down in the house. We talk consciously. She called back the next day. She said, Dave, look, you got to come. I got to talk to you. So Dave thinking, oh, man, she just want to get in, want to just talk about some regular dates and stuff we had in the past. I ain't into that. She said, no, Dave, I want to talk to you. When Dave finally came over, she said, Dave, look, either I'm going crazy or my people think I'm going crazy. I done went to ITC, which is the seminary over here, and I've already talked to some of the preachers over there, and they're telling me, oh, that's just your old preacher. Just giving some old philosophical junk, because they don't know nothing. Just as ignorant as anything. Just dead. They're telling us some old bull job about the Lord and all this kind of thing. Didn't know nothing. The sister name is, she graduated last year. What's your classification? 91. I don't know if you might not know her. I forgot the girl name. But anyway, she came over. She said, look, I've been having these doggone dreams, a series of dreams. Come to find out, she said, well, I've been partly psychic all my life, right? So I've been having a series of dreams. She said, one of the dreams I've been having, she said, these dreams I've been having, they've been consistent each night. She said, I'm seeing people that I know in the AU Center, because that's where I'm mostly focused in. These are the people I know personally. She said, I'm seeing people that I walk up on every day. They're inside these concentration camps, and they're all locked up. She said, the people are seeing European Jews, but I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing such and such, so-and-so. Brother go to Morehouse. Brother, sister go to Spelman. Brother go to Clark. Anything. She said, I'm shaking my eyes. When I shake my eyes, it'll go back to the Jews. And I'm trying to get clear, but it's keep flashing, giving me these pictures of what's going on. She said, now she speaks fluent Spanish. She said, but I see myself, me taking these people and almost like an underground railroad. I'm taking these people, and these people are escaping into Mexico. Well, come to find out, they had two underground railroads in the history. They had one that went up north, and they had one that escaped into Mexico. You see, she said, I'm seeing these things. She said, but I keep seeing this word, 1996, 1996. Well, I had another friend named Tracy that I talk about. I asked her, when would the King Alpha plan be taken out? And she said somewhere around 95. Well, you see, understand, when the girl is saw, she said it's when it's going to start. This is what this girl said. The girl Tracy. The sister from Clark was actually seeing the events when it had already happened, which was 1996. So we're talking about anywhere in between those times. You understand? Anywhere in between these times. Now y'all hold on, because I'm going to tell you what all this stuff is about. Then we get to the good part of this stuff now. You all hold on, because I'm going to tell you why it's got to go down this way. Number one, I asked Tracy, when is the currency recall? When they're going to recall all this money and give you this new money? They already did it in Russia, remember? And told them, I don't give a damn how much money you got. We got $35 for you. Oh, this new money. That old stuff you got ain't no good. Now, you already done checked the dollar bills and seen the strip in them from $5 on up. And see the strip on the left-hand side if you hold it up to the light. Which means when they recall that money, if you got that on you and try to hoard that money, they're going to lock you up. You see what I'm saying? Well, I said, when is the currency recall? She said anywhere from a year to 2 years. Well, the white boys came on, if you get you a shortwave radio, get you a shortwave radio. That's what to deal with. Because, see, they can't regulate shortwave transmission. So white people be on there talking all kinds of stuff. They got one thing where white boys just be counting the money. They counting down to the days when this money gonna go. In that particular, on the broadcast I heard one Saturday, they said currency recall is in 1 to 2 years. Well, I said, Tracy, when will the currency recall, or when they gonna get rid of this money? She said, I have anywhere between 1994 and 95. I said, that would be right, because see, how they gonna get you into concentration camps is, once they get rid of the money, you gonna free. Yeah. And that would justify them of putting you away, because you are a security risk. You understand how that goes? But help is on the way, but I'm letting you know what time it is. The way it is that way, the way it's that, the why it is. So we understand that this King Alfred plan, which anybody don't know what the King Alfred plan is. The King Alfred plan is a plan that was drawn up in the 1930s, in the 1970s, to, in case of an event, they would put black people in facilities to house them in concentration camps. Well, they already refurbished the ones in 1979. They refurbished the Japanese concentration camps, that they put Japanese in here. And then in 1989, 10 years later, they refurbished and closed down all of the actual, they closed down the actual army bases, 6 of them. And then they recently closed down some more. You check? Yeah. And that's what it is. Also, go to any city and see where the doggone dome stadiums and all your stadiums are built. They're built right in the black community. That's the first holding tank, and we got the dome stadium right in the black community. Wow. They could have built that dome stadium anywhere in Buckhead. They got enough land. They got enough money to buy enough land. You understand what I'm saying? They got enough parts over there in Buckhead that they can just turn into the dome stadium. Why would they build it right smack dab in the black community and right smack dab in the Atlanta University complex? Which every year the lights go off in the AU Center. The lights go off in there for a couple of hours. You understand how that goes? Right in the black community. Marcus Garvey said that they was going. He said that 40 years ago. That these doggone facilities that they building them in the black community. You understand how that goes now? So they're going to justify this thing. They're going to justify this thing by putting you in the concentration camps. Well, let's go on and see why they have to do this. We're going to the esoteric part of what's going on. Dealing with your own Kabbalah. This is one right up in here. It's where the earth, which is the lowest third dimensional density, is getting ready to be lifted up. When it gets lifted up, it's going into what you call Keter. This whole solar system is going to go into what you call a fourth dimension. But right in this fourth dimension is what you call the morgue zone. And the morgue zone is, if you ain't right, this morgue zone, which starts the whole Sirius factor, because all of this with the heaven world, is going to eliminate you. You understand? So this is called a morgue zone. So the white people are trying to get right spiritually so they can go into the morgue zone and have the right juice to go into the morgue zone. That's why Alistair Crawley, who had a dispute against Maine Blavatsky's group, he said that you all don't supposed to try to get to the Pleiades when you know that the retribution coming from Sirius, and it's coming from this morgue zone. So the main thing you got to try to do is to try to get hooked up spiritually. And to get hooked up spiritually is you got to tap into the actual, juice that's coming from Sirius, and you can have a guardian angel to give you the right juice. Well, when I was a little boy, I want to say this and we can get on back on track. When I was a little boy, I asked my mother, I said, look, I said, Mom, when they go out in space, since the sun is up there, it should be very light. She said, it should be, it makes sense. You know what I'm saying? But we know when you go out in space, you see nothing but darkness and stars. Not only that, the astronauts tell you that it is so black in space that you can't even see your hand, and the only thing you can see is the greater stars like Sirius and a couple of other stars. Now, what does that mean? How can the sun be black? How can the sun not shine up there when it shines here? And it goes a little something like, in our Earth's atmosphere, you have electromagnetic force field, rays. And in those rays, even though you have this sun that is almost invisible in space, when it hit those rays and we're looking at it, it reflects the sun. You get that? But in actuality, you don't even see it in the cosmos. Get Delbert Blair's book on his video. He has a video audio right in on Black Media called The Sun and the Moon, where he explains that. Well, the sun, in actuality, the light that we do see from the sun that is manifested through our electromagnetic force field is coming from Sirius. You see, our sun is nothing but a reflection of a greater sun, which is Sirius. So that actual power is Sirius. Since we are the smaller suns, we are reflections of a greater sun also. I just wanted to get that down to what's going on. You Christians, I wanted to put this in here on the UFO things. You Christians up in here, just remember that Jesus was an initiate in the Gnostic schools of Hemmitt. Would be the Essenes or whatever. He was an initiate of the Gnostic schools. Now, we don't understand that a lot of our stuff, there's Greek papyrus that also have this biblical story on it in Greece. This guy that wrote this book, Jean Duress, the secret books of the Egyptian Gnostics, is showing you that they dug up some papyrus, or they dug up some stuff in the 1940s, some actual tablets, and it's the teachings of Jesus Christ, which is coming from the Gnostic schools, which is another form of the Essenes or whatever, which is a later form the Coptics, which was a later form of the Egyptian mystery school during the time of the Greco-Roman rule at that time. Now, in this papyrus, it says, the Greek papyrus and Coptic, under the impact of these words, the heavens are suddenly opened. Jesus is telling these, he took his followers on a certain plane. Jesus and his followers are immediately transported on a spaceship into space. In front of them, amid the winds, behold, ships of the sun and the moon, manned by fantastic beings. Manned by fantastic beings. They were saying that by him going to the actual mystery schools, he knew of this particular actual ritual he could do and could transport these motherships and all, and it's on a papyrus. I happen to own that papyrus, and I went through the ritual. And let's put it this way, I didn't see the mothership, but the next night, all my spiritual faculties started opening, and I've been on a spiritual evolution ever since. That was back in February. So, let you know that this stuff is real, and this is coming off a Greek papyrus. This over in that we don't even know anything about and all, and it's right there in one of the, I think it's in the Louvre in Paris. And this guy Jean Duress was a actual papyrologist, they call him, who studies the papyrus, both Egypt and actual Greek papyrus, Rome, Latin papyrus, and Egyptian papyrus, and he worked in the Louvre in Paris before he died, and all. Now, what we're dealing with is this. The white lady told me that I met in the store, told me that this guy George Hunt Williamson also had some stuff that the actual people from Sirius gave him, called the Transcript of the Hierarchy. I'm going to make sure that this is available within the next couple of months. I'm going to write my book, and I'm damn sure going to have it in there, parts of it. Because I got a little bit of this stuff. I didn't bring it with me. But in this Transcript of the Hierarchy, it's one thing funny about this Transcript of the Hierarchy. I was reading the actual fragments that the woman gave me, because what she did is, what she does is she collects old UFO material from the 1950s. And George Hunt Williamson wrote this part, and I think it was unpublished. And she happened to get a hold to it because, you know, she's white and she got the hookup. But she was telling me, she She went to her car and she gave me a little bit of this. I was in the bookstore, and we started talking, and she gave me this thing. Now, in this particular transcript of the hierarchy that supposedly he got from these people who visited him from Sirius, the stuff that they was talking in this transcript of the hierarchy, the part I got was almost verbatim identical to the message of the black man, Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Now, two things we got going on here. Number one, either George Hunt Williamson copied the message to the black man, which wasn't even printed until the late 1960s, early 1970s. And the first time this was in, and I think the first time he even wrote this thing, I think was in the late 50s and up to 1961. Almost verbatim. Or either Honorable Elijah Muhammad got a hold of this stuff, which I doubt very seriously. Didn't even know about no George Hunt. You don't even know about it. I doubt very seriously. So obviously either it's that, either somebody was plagiarizing, or either the same thing that he got from the people from Sirius, the same thing that Honorable Elijah Muhammad got from his hookup from Master Farad Muhammad. Now remember, Master Farad Muhammad is a Sufi Muslim, which is the highest order that is existing on the earth today with the spiritual attainments. So you don't have the mystery school around now. You have the Yogi masters, the Tibetan masters, and you have the Sufi masters. The Sufis is one of the highest ones because they deal particularly with space. See, Freeman L said the Sufi master can travel all the way up into the black abyss and get kicked back out, whereas some of them are even scared to go into it. So they're very advanced. If you get the book, The Teachings of Master Farad Muhammad, it was out around 1990, and people didn't pay attention to it, and then it the shrine didn't have it. Anyway, I had the Hawkins bookstore on Martin Luther King to order something. They got it in like 15 copies last week. But anyway, he was a Sufi Muslim, which the Sufis are nothing but, remember, this is how this goes. Now, let's look at this Muhammad situation. If he was giving them a new religion from them pagan people, why in the devil did the same God that the pagan people had, mainly the ancient Egyptians, which the origin was Sirius, would end up being the same doggone God that Muhammad worshiped, which is printed right in the Surah? If it wasn't nothing but a rehashment or a regenerated form of the same ancient Egyptian religion. That's all these religious books are. You are all saying that's paganism. Well, wait a minute, I want to know something here. If this is in pagan, if you ever check the word, pagan just means the people. Look up the etymological root of the word. It just means the people. Them people over there, them Africa. You understand? Don't mean nothing about no many gods. Get E. Wallace Bud's book from Fetish to God in ancient Egypt, 1935, before he died, which he translates your Book of the Dead and Osiris, Egyptian Resurrection, and all these books. And also the two ancient Egyptian religion books, gods of the Egyptians. He said before he died, he said, I printed the gods of the Egyptians 2 volumes 15 years ago. Now he's in 1935 before he died, and he said I was wrong the whole time. He said I thought it was a polytheistic religion, and it never was. It was one God the whole time. They call it the hidden God, the one God, or the one. And all the other gods you see is nothing but a manifestation of the same God. Isn't that what Allah is supposed to be? Well, he got 99 attributes. Well, in actuality, because this was a scientific system and not really a religious system, the mystery system was an educational system, they actually showed you the attributes. You put them together and it represents one God, God one. Male and female principle, the yin and the yang. You understand how that goes? Well, so what we have with Muhammad in actuality, all he did was, if Gabriel said, well, it's time for you to get this thing simplified for them nomadic people over there that don't know what time it is, we got to simplify this because they can't deal with the ancient Egyptian mystery system, which is highly advanced, and we'll give it to them broken down in these terms. The one God and the God one, which means field of current means Allah, which means Sirius. Now that's right in the surah. I told some Sunni Muslims this. If we're talking about some lies Well, what you got to deal with what the Quran say. Now tell me the Quran wrong. Right in there where the Quran says that this is the God of Sirius. And also, if you get the book, what's my man's name? He wrote the book Stars. One book on astronomy. You need to get it. Learn more about the mythology of the actual stars. It's called Star Names, Their Lure, and Their Meaning by Richard Hinckley Allen. And in the book, he said that Muhammad's father was a Cushite Arab who worshipped Sirius. Muhammad used to worship Sirius also, but he told his followers not to worship it because he understood that his followers, they got into astronomy, they would be dumbfounded. Based on the nomadic people that was at that time of Arabia, but you had the blue-black man still in Arabia that knew the sciences. Well, when the religion, not being a different religion, all you Muslims, when it went into the phase of Islam in the same fact, because the word Allah is much more ancient than Islam, the word is, when it went into the phase of Islam, then the actual Cushite Arabs, which Cushite means it came from, the Cushites come from Ethiopia. So that whole land was Ethiopia, Greater Ethiopia, Lower Ethiopia, whatever. Those people took the actual ancient Egyptian mystery system and housed it into the Islam, and this is where you get your Sufi Muslims from. Now, Master Farad Muhammad was a Sufi Muslim. Now you understand how that goes? So this is how, this transcript of the hierarchy from Sirius is verbatim. Number one, it says in there that the great chastisement won't mess with the rest of Europe because it's saving America for itself. America is the most evil out of all. Now what is the white man in 1961 talking that kind of junk about America? It just didn't happen. It wasn't into the hippie society where the white man just realized that, hey, maybe them black people was right all the time. Maybe something is messed up with America. And they didn't really realize it until after they killed Kennedy. Check. You see, and that didn't happen until 1963. The transcript of the hierarchy, supposedly what he received was late 50s up to 1961. But in it says that this is the most evil country on earth before they even portrayed the type of evils that they would later on do in the 60s and the 70s. They'd already done it when they started by killing the Indians and stealing us. You see what I'm saying? That's why when I went to the prison, I said, y'all don't have to worry about being in jail. I said, some of you all feel inferior because you in here. I said, but really when you think about it, how can a man who stole you put you in jail for stealing? How can an international bandit who have stole you, right, and stole the land that you sitting on, tell you anything about moralism? How can an international bandit put anybody in jail who has killed literally over billions of people? You understand what I'm saying? If we count the amount of people that he killed, including his own, it would outweigh him 7 times over. He can't put you, how could he even talk about spiritual moralism? But in the transcript of the hierarchy, it talks about some of the same things verbatim that you see in the message to the black man. Now, going back, some of this stuff is supposed to be coming from the great white brotherhood, which means the Christ mind. But there are some white people in the great white brotherhood. There's a guy by the name of Saint Germain, which is a white boy. But don't get it wrong, he did the right stuff and he went on up. You see, they said that the Moors in Spain, when they knew before they fell from Spain, they put this white boy in to try to bring the spirituality to the West, to try to tame the doggone Westerners and try to get them on the God path. As well as all your yogi masters in the early 20th century came to the West to try to teach white people and get them out of their savageness so they can have enough stuff to go and get spiritual. In other words, give them enough rope to hang themselves so it won't be no excuse when it's all over that they didn't have a chance. And believe me, white people far more into a lot more spiritual stuff than we are. They got it going on. We in church, but they in all that, but they supposed to be in that. You supposed to be in the condition you into because you the chosen people. We're going to get into the science of that. So, going on. The Dogon talks about the Ciggy Ceremony. It's done every 60 years. They do it in every 60 years to make sure that the last group that was around would not, most of them would be died off and wouldn't be able to see it. So they do it every 60 years. It's funny about this date, because the first time I got the date, I got 1996, because I saw an actual TV show, and I was listening to the TV show, and by the time I got into actually dating this stuff with the Sirius Ciggy Ceremony that the white boy talks about in his books but don't ever print. They don't print no dates. I had to remember back, and I remembered 1996. Well, what happened was, because they didn't print the dates, but they slipped and put this because it was an older TV show that came out in the 70s, In Search Of. So when I saw it, it took me a year later to see it again, and it was 1997. Now, let me explain this. The last time they did the Ciggy Ceremony was 1937. When they did it, when they came in, when the white anthropologists Griot and Dittelin came in, who wrote The Pale Fox and Conversations with Olga Demele, when they came in, they just thought it was a religious ceremony or a funeral. They didn't know until 15 years later, after being inducted into the Dogon Society, that it was actually a ceremony that is actually heroes the birthday of Nomo, which is the actual crucified Savior, the same as you got with Jesus Christ, Quetzalcoatl, Krishna, Osiris, or Osar, all of this. We got 16 crucified Saviors, 17 with Nomos. And we tripping on one. You understand what I'm saying? Saying he is the light. Yeah, he is the light. But it's an esoteric light, and you the light. You understand? Now, so they did it in 37. 60 years from that is 97 on schedule. It heroes the birthday of old Nomo, when things supposed to be get going. Okay? Which is, in fact, the Heroes Gamos, or what we would call the 90,000 year holy reunion. The 90,000 year holy reunion is what it is. Now what happens? I'm going to go into this judgment now. Hold me on this Heroes Gamos, because it's very key. It's not just even talking about the constellation, but it's also talking about something in you. Hold me on that. Now, dealing with this judgment thing that we stopped on. Next part of the judgment is the Goddess Sekhmet. Two folds. One, the Goddess Sekhmet represents you. A lion people, which means the lion, which means strength. Which Haile Selassie in the rosters is trying to tell you when they say the Lion of Judah. Which the Lion of Judah is actually, if you trace it back, which is the first god, was the Goddess Sekhmet. But Sekhmet is also the Goddess Kali in India, which has a cycle, which is the black goddess Kali that has her black cycle. And the next goddess is the goddess Hecate, which is the Greek goddess, which is all the same goddess, just translated different. Sekhmet has a cycle. And when this cycle comes in, she is the goddess of storms, earthquakes, heat waves, floods. Get it? What you having? Heat waves, floods. Her cycle came in around 1979, 1990. And between 79, you had an earthquake in San Francisco. 1990, you had Hurricane Hugo. You understand? Actually, her cycle might have came in the middle of the 80s, because you had that drought out in back in 86. You had that drought out in the Midwestern states had a drought, and then we had a drought, and they had to help us, and we helped them, and that whole thing. So the preliminary stuff started happening in the mid-80s. But her cycle is in around 1989. You had the earthquake in San Francisco, Hurricane Hugo, and now you got this whole thing that went on with Mississippi thing, that Mississippi River thing, and then in South Carolina you had Hugo, and then they got hit again because they got a slave port right down there, so you know they got hit again. They got the one in Hugo. They got they got the heat wave went over there. They don't have no crops this year. You see, I'm from South Carolina. The tobacco is burnt up to nothing. You ain't got nothing. You see what I'm saying? Crackers, white boys say, hey, this is my last year farming and all, you know. So that's what her cycles are. Now we understand that there's a 120 years cycle in between earthquakes with the Indian prophecies. Delbert Blair told you about the Indian prophecies, and some of you might have bought those papers, but if not, still have some of the papers with the earthquakes and all that, and I'll Xerox some. But there's a 120-something year cycle. Now, your farmer's almanac is based off the Indian prophecies. No scientific. It's based off the Indian prophecies all the time, because the Indian prophecies is 100% correct. Check. Now, you have a 120-something year cycle, which is an earthquake cycle, which is due to trigger any minute now. South Carolina's on the list. Memphis, Tennessee is on the list. Ohio is on the list. Boston is on the list. Now, what Boston got an earthquake? You know, California is right up under the water. As a matter of fact, if you go, we're going to get some other charts in. You can go and buy one at Avalon, but we're going to get some at Black Media. They got the charts of the New America. California is gone. New Orleans and all Texas, all that's gone and stuff. Georgia is here because Georgia is the new Atlantis, which they're building these buildings up here to feel that current in, called Sirius architecture, that they got off of papyrus in the British Museum, which they're trying to get a certain amount of current here. That's why you have the 96 Olympics and the Super Bowl and all this stuff. That's Custer's last stand. They got plans for Atlanta. That's why all your Illuminati people are moving right here to Atlanta. You got the CDC, you got Emory University that's just getting ready to get a $1 billion Egyptology program and stuff. Even what's the name just got them an Egyptology program. Memphis State, and they just built that pyramid down there in Memphis. And they just had the Napoleon exhibit this summer where they had on there, see everything Napoleon stole except the country, other than countries. And they had the Napoleon exhibit and all, and they got a big old statue of Ramesses right in front of the pyramid and all that. That Hosni Mubarak and them had a plaster cast made from Egypt and sent over there. And the reason why is a sister there that told me that Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when he came in the 60s, he said that the black man will rise up in this point. Also, you have the Halls of Amenti, which means your subterranean worlds. And in your subterranean worlds, you can go down one part, or you can go down underneath the earth in Memphis, Tennessee, and you'll end up in Memphis, Kemet. You can walk all the way from here to Memphis, Egypt, Kemet, and all. So that's called the Halls of Amenti, or the Desert of Set. So that's a significant now. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's going on, and that's what's happening in the actual cycles that's going on. Now, the goddess Kali is called the dark goddess. Same person, Afrikiti, which is Greek. The goddess Kali is called the black goddess, or the black cycle. We are in that now. Not only the earthquake, but the white boy noting he got to start locking you up. Shit, this is the part we getting to. He got to start locking you up because he understands that the black cycle brings on some stuff called the black substance. Okay. Smithsonian Institute magazine, 1993, June. Talks about some stuff in astronomy right in here. Let's get this out. What is it? I didn't say they don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is, and I know what it's all about. This is why you're going crazy. This is why you're having all kinds of things that's going on. It says the black substance, or the dark matter. Dark matter is strange stuff. It's all around you, but you can't see it. It's wishing through your ears, but you can't hear it. It is arguably the most important material of the universe, but until recently, we scientists had no idea what it is. But whatever it is, it will decide the fate of the universe. Now we're getting into some fire on what's getting ready to go down. The black substance. That ain't all. That's the phase of it. What is the black substance? It's brought in through the goddess Kali. They say it's been around. And as a matter of fact, to let you know it's all around you, if you can see it, you can pass this around. Well, I want to show you this picture. You can pass it around, but look at this picture, what they got here on this black stuff. Now they got it all coming down and stuff. Now look at it. What it is the stuff that holds the planet in order up there. Okay? Get a little funky here, because they had just half of it. And right here, they show a white boy sitting in his living room with the stuff going on through him, because he can't see. He passes it around. Stuff is going on walk through it so we can't see it in the living room. Now, so it's all around us. Remember I talk about the spiritual quickening, where we're going through a spiritual quickening. If you're thinking positive or you're thinking conscious, you're quickening this way to the level of God. If you're thinking negative, you're quickening that way. As a matter of fact, that's the electromagnetic current that's in the universe, and if you reject it, they say this is why you're having a lot of heart attacks within the last year, because of this electromagnetic current in the universe. You see what I'm saying? People think, so now, this black substance is all around. Well, what is it? It is the stuff that holds the universe in order. Is what this stuff is. It's called the dark matter. Now, what is the dark matter, and what does this stuff do? And number one, how does this stuff relate to us? Okay. Number one, the black cycle or the black substance will, let me read this part right out of the book. Good little book. The spirit came and gave me that Kundalini West book by what I said her name was Anna Marie Carlton, old white woman. She might be dead now, but the spirit say get that book. And so some say get this book, and I got this book. I've been planning for this lecture for months. Some say get this book right now, and I opened the book up, and boom, all the stuff I needed. Few little keys is in the book. Listen. Every 12,000 years, men on earth are recipients of a golden age, which was the result of sequential polarization of powers experienced in every 2,500 years time cycle. At the end of 12,000 years, mankind developed in the Earth solar system. The great sun, our solar sun Sirius, unites with the sun of this entry into the solar system. It lasts for a period of 2,000 years. So we might have been under this thing because we're getting ready to get out of this. It says, in this time, men and women both bring the yin and the yang polarity balance together in the inner consciousness. They experience God consciousness. Okay, now, and they balance the soul and the spirit together. So now we are coming into the point whereas in the cycles you got a lot less sexism, not just for black people, but also for white people. Now, it's all based on this particular Sirius uniting with the actual sun. Now, what does this mean? The goddess Ramesses said that we are born out of Sekhmet.